This one was sent in a few days ago. Mr. President, my name is Nick Deneen, and I attend school at the University of California, Santa Barbara. I was the RA for the floor that George Chen lived on last year as a first-year college student. I knew him. Elliot Rodger killed him and 5 more of my fellow students. Today, another man has shot and killed at least 1 person and injured 3 others at a private Christian school in Seattle. What are you going to do? What can we all do? And of course, another mass shooting this morning.
I have to say that people often ask me, how's it been being president, and what are my proudest of, and what are my biggest disappointments. And I've got 2.5 years left. My biggest frustration so far is the fact that this society has not been willing to take some basic steps to keep guns out of the hands of people who can do just unbelievable damage. We're the only society, we're the only developed country on earth where this happens, and it happens now once a week, and it's a one-day story. There's no place else like this.
All right. Excuse me. I was just taking, Mr. Obama said there's no place like here in America, so I want you to take a look at this list. Yes, there's in Washington, and here's one in Scotland in '96. Here's another in Alaska. Yemen, 8 people, 6 students, and 2 others. This is in '97. Just keep on going. Different countries. Oregon, Tennessee, Virginia, Colorado, Georgia, here, Canada. 1 student killed 1 woman at W. Myers High School. The Netherlands, 1 teacher and 3 students wounded by a 17-year-old student. Germany, 1 teacher killed by a 15-year-old student who then shot himself. He would have been in a coma ever since. Georgia, Florida, New Orleans, Minnesota. Sweden, 1 student killed. Michigan, and another one in Germany. That's 2 in the year 2002. Another in 2002. Look at it. 13 teachers, students, 1 policeman killed, 10 wounded by Robert somebody in 19. You see? I heard Gavana, I don't know what Bosnia. I guess that's Russia or something. 1 teacher killed. Argentina, 3 students killed and 6 wounded by a 15-year-old. And this is just school killings right here that I pulled up, that I've looked on the internet. Now, granted, let me tell you, these are just, like I said, these are just Finland. These are just school killings and things and shootings and stuff like that. Germany again, that's 2009. Baku, 2009. All this. And he said there's no place. Now you see the states. Brazil, Norway. When I say the state, I'm not talking about the different countries. I'm talking about, you see a lot of the states, stuff that happen in the states, but Kenya, and but there's a lot more that goes on in different countries. like for instance, you don't see Christians getting murdered over here, but he's saying nothing about the Christians that's getting murdered and in the Muslim countries, because he is a Muslim. That's why he don't want to bring that up. But you don't see that. They don't talk about that. You know, he want to talk. He only want to talk about all this, and a lot of this stuff that's going on is false flagging anyway. A lot of stuff that they get putting down ain't nothing but false flag. So look, just do your homework and just give your heart and life to Jesus Christ. Get saved. Obama, he lying. But anyway, uh, you seen it right here. Probably, if I search even more, I'll probably find it more. But this is enough for me, and it should be enough for you. So God bless.
A couple of decades ago, Australia had a mass shooting, similar to Columbine or Newtown. And Australia just said, well, that's it. We're not seeing that again. And basically imposed very severe, tough gun laws, and they haven't had a mass shooting since. I mean, our levels of gun violence are off the charts. There's no advanced, developed country on earth that would put up with this. Now, we have a different tradition. We have a Second Amendment. We have historically respected gun rights. I respect gun rights. But the idea that, for example, we couldn't even get a background check bill in to make sure that if you're going to buy a weapon, you have to actually go through a fairly rigorous process so that we know who you are. So you can't just walk up to a store and buy a semi-automatic weapon. It makes no sense. And I don't know if anybody saw the brief press conference from the father of the young man who had been killed at Santa Barbara.
Why did Chris die? Chris died because of craven, irresponsible politicians and the NRA. They talk about gun rights. What about Chris's right to live? When will this insanity stop? When will enough people say, stop this madness? We don't have to live like this. Too many have died. We should say to ourselves, not one more. Thank you. That's it.
The anger, you can hear the anger and the grief of this man talking about Christopher Martinez, slamming the politicians, slamming the NRA, saying, what about Chris's right to live? He's referring to people who support gun rights. He says, well, what about this young man's right to live? This is the first victim that we are hearing of. You can see that he is just overwhelmed by grief. He says, Chris was a really great kid. Ask anyone.
And as a father myself, I could not understand the pain he must be going through.
I can't tell you how angry I am. It's just awful. And no parent should have to go through this. No parent. To have a kid die because in this kind of a situation, what has changed? Have we learned nothing? These things are going to continue until somebody does something. So where the hell is the leadership? Where the hell is these people we elect to Congress that we spend so much money on? These people are getting rich sitting in Congress. And what do? They don't take care of our kids. My kid died because nobody responded to what occurred at Sandy Hook. Those parents lost little kids. It's bad enough that I lost my 20-year-old, but I had 20 years with my son. That's all I ever have. But those people lost their children at 6 and 7 years old. How do you think they feel? And who's talking to them now? Who's doing anything for them now? Who is standing up for those kids that died back then in an elementary school? Why wasn't something done? But I had 20 years with my son. That's all I ever have. Why wasn't something done? But those people lost their children at 6 and 7 years old.
Why don't we start, if you would, tell us about Christopher. I see you have his picture there. I know you're going through a grieving process.
And just the primal scream that he gave out. Why aren't we doing something about this?
If you agree that the people in Washington should hear that not one more person should have to die because of this ridiculous situation, then when I raise my hand, I want you to shout so loud that they're going to hear you. Are you with me? Not good enough. One more time. Are you with me? Not one more. Not one more.
And I will tell you that I have been in Washington for a while now, and most things don't surprise me. The fact that 26-year-olds were gunned down in the most violent fashion possible, and this town couldn't do anything about it, was stunning to me.
Hello, my name is Aaron Weiss, and I live in the town of Poughkeepsie. I'm a combat veteran of Iraq, and I'm also a law enforcement officer. I attended the Public Safety Committee's last meeting in regards to this resolution, but I didn't say anything because I wanted to hear what everyone else had to say. And I heard some shocking things from some people and some legislators. They said that it took a lot of courage to pass this SAFE Act. Apparently, my definition of courage differs from yours. You see, if it was really so courageous a bill and it took so much courage to pass it, then why was it done in the middle of the night when no one could see it or read it? That's not courage. That's a mafia-style sit-down to divvy up what's good for the bosses. Courage is taking the right and true course of action, not the politically expedient one. And anyone who is proud of this law must also be proud of the Patriot Act, the TSA, imprisoning Japanese citizens in World War II, since all these actions were spurred on by emotional fear and rammed through in the name of public safety. Another issue is the insistence of certain people to stand on the graves of dead children and challenge those that disagree to say it to the parents' faces. Well, I, for one, will pick up that gauntlet. First off, why is dead children your battle cry? You didn't say anything about the hundreds of Chicago children being killed, and for some reason you only scream when it happens to wealthy white ones. And yes, I will say to anyone's face, my right is more important than your dead, because I fought for it firsthand. I washed the blood of my friends out of my Humvee, and I picked up their mangled bodies, and I fought day in and day out. I did more things that you people can't imagine. So yeah, my right trumps your dead. I earned it in blood. I gave up a lot for this country, including my youth, and better men than me gave up a whole lot more, so that all you, myself included, could enjoy the rights that are guaranteed to us in our Constitution and Bill of Rights. And we didn't go through all that to come back home and watch the surrender of what we fought for happen based on the demented actions of a couple madmen. So in closing, I would like to address specifically the legislators we all know who are going to vote against this resolution. I understand you will vote against this resolution based on some misguided sense of the public good. However, as a law enforcement officer, I'm curious to know about your true resolve. Since voting to take away someone's rights is totally different than being asked to enforce it, I want you to consider this. If you support the SAFE Act so wholeheartedly, are you willing to stand with law enforcement members and lead from the front to enforcement? And what I mean by that is if a constituent of yours feels so alienated by this law and the manner in which it was passed that they refuse to comply with it, are you willing to stack up on their front door and go in first? I bet if a clause was in this bill that required you, the elected leadership, our elected leaders, to go in the door first, I bet you would not be so steadfast.